Standard Chartered has given a new report predicting gold and silver prices. Also, Indians went to jewelers in the month of August and sold their gold for cash, and this speed was 20% more than before. But before we take a perspective of gold and silver and try and analyze the price movements, as I say, it's very important to know as to what is happening on the geopolitical front and a little bit on geo-economic front also. Anybody who does investments into stocks, into commodities, any kind of investment, it's very important to understand the geopolitical perspective. So what happened overnight when you were sleeping? Well, Trump says that he has to stop military drills in South Korea. It doesn't want to support South Korea anymore because he says North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un is a friend of his. He respects him a lot and he doesn't want to send a wrong message to Kim Jong-un by supporting South Korea. So the drills have stopped, and now there's a question mark whether these drills, which were happening every 6 months, will ever happen again. So that's a big development. In fact, this exposes that area to war because North Korea will now know that there is no active American support with South Korea. The sanction war continues. We all know that heavy sanctions have been imposed by America on the activities, on the entities, on virtual assets, on gold, on shipping lines, on countries dealing with them. Now, China is one of the biggest trade partners of Iran. And if these sanctions are imposed on the countries which help Iran, I'm sure China is not going to be very happy. And China says, we'll give a fitting reply if these sanctions come into effect on us. So that should be an alarm bell for America, because a lot of rare earth minerals which America is sourcing from China, besides a host of products, the American Pentagon or defense production can come under question if China decides to retaliate by way of either squeezing some of the exports or imposing reverse sanctions. Now, it is important to note that Iran deals with 110 countries. So is America going to impose sanctions on all the 110 countries? That remains to be seen. The announcements have been made. America, I'm told, is trying to call every country and discourage them from dealing with Iran, else threatening them with sanctions. Now, also, Iran has put up a video where they have threatened to kill Donald Trump's son, youngest son, Barron Trump. This is the son he has from Melania Trump. He's threatened to kill. There's a video which has come out, which is quite worrisome. Even Netanyahu has complained that Iran is planning to kill one of his two sons. So the war seems to be getting a little personal. This is a revenge which Iran wants to take when in the beginning of the war, America had killed Khamenei's family members, including the senior most Khamenei. Meanwhile, Iran and Oman are trying to build a route in Strait of Hormuz. They're trying to open it, one for going, one for coming. It remains to be seen because America has also put blockades there, and whether this will open or not open is a matter of, in fact, in anticipation of that, crude oil has cooled down from 92 to 86. So that's a big fall. The moment the commodity traders heard of this news. Now, Trump also says that mines from Strait of Hormuz, the underwater mines, have been removed, and Iran should not try or dare to put them back in place, although one needs to find out whether they've actually been removed or not. Only time will tell. Now, another important development is that sanctions on these countries will speed up de-dollarization. Because if you start imposing sanctions, well, a lot of time dollar is used as a weapon. Well, the countries obviously would try to run away from dollar, which will trigger de-dollarization, which will be good for gold and silver for that matter. Well, Ukraine has been taking a lot of help from allies, France, Germany, UK, etc., and that is obviously irritating Russia. President Putin, I'm told, is infuriated. He's threatening UK with dire consequences. Bank of America survey has come which says gold has got very bright prospect and gold currently is undervaluated from here. That's what they say. Crude oil, as I said, is 86. Bond yields have cooled down a bit, 4.6 because of the crude oil. Dollar index is down to 98.6, up from 99 last evening, but it was basically because of crude oil prices cooling down. I'm not sure if the bond buyback impact has been there. Meanwhile, tonight is important for gold and silver. US PCE and GDP data is going to come out. PCE is personal consumption expenditure. If this is lower, then obviously it is indicative that inflation would not be much, which means Fed will not increase the interest rates, and that's good for gold and silver for that matter. Well, another important piece of data is that silver from its lowest point till today has risen by about 23%. Gold has risen by 15%, zinc by 15%. All this has happened in the month of August. So this has been the highest gold return, they say, since 2008. If you take it for one single month, that is 15% in a month. Meanwhile, FIIs bought about 1594 crore rupees worth of shares from the Indian stock market. DIIs bought a very small quantity of 230 crores. FIIs in the month of August have bought about 25,000 crore. This is good news for stock market because March, April, May, June was quite bad as far as FIIs were concerned. They had massively sold. So July there was about 22,000, and August is now 25,000 crores. Let's come to the thumbnail news, that what happened with Indians when the gold from 1,41,000 moved up to 1,62,000. We saw a 20% spurt with the jewelers and people going there and cashing their gold. That is cash for gold. Now, if you're wondering what are the reasons for this, there are two reasons which have come out. One reason, of course, is people who bought gold a lot cheaper and a lot before. They are now in significant profit. They want to encash and book their profit. I don't see any harm in doing that if you're booking a part of your assets, for profit. The second reason, because of inflation, because of the festive season, there must be families who are running into a cash crunch and they want to ease their liquidity at home by selling some of the gold, which is right now at 1,62,000, 1,63,000 per 10 grams. So a little bit of sign of distress, I would say, when you sell gold for meeting your expenses. But there are people who want to spend on renovation of houses. Diwali is around the corner. Festival season is there. Somebody wants to buy a car, a bike, or some other asset, so they try and liquidate gold and ease their cash flow at home. Maybe a case of distress, or maybe a case of an optional liquidity step to get rid of some of the gold. But what is important is when you go and sell, you'll have to be careful about what you're getting from the jeweler, because the impurities are deducted. You need to be ensuring that the impurities being deducted are appropriately being calculated. You also need to be careful about making charges which are deducted. If you're selling a piece of jewelry, they are definitely going to deduct that. So, selling old gold is not an easy process. Obviously, when the jewelers were buying from you, it's a profit-making proposition for them. So what is profit-making for them is a loss-making proposition for you. So it's always good to be very careful. In fact, I would suggest to go and get it evaluated from 2-3 different jewelers and then sell at the best one. If you just go to one and sell, you might end up losing more than what you would imagine. And I'm sure you would like to realize the best value for the gold that you're selling. So that was today's bulletin. If you like the contents, please do subscribe. It's a very new channel, started in August itself. Your subscription, you're pressing the subscribe button, the bell icon is going to keep me motivated. Until we meet again in this very channel called the Sharad Kohli Show. Goodbye.